Well, it is Monday, the 3rd of March, 2025. It's the first weather to watch of the month, and we have an active pattern to talk about and probably a pretty active March as well. Let's dive right in. Boy, lots to unpack with this particular weather to watch. What I'm watching is a bomb low pressure system, which just deepens very rapidly. A lot of times these are reserved for the East Coast, but in this case, it's in the Midwest. I'll show you a complete rundown of where that low is expected to travel and the kind of weather it's going to produce. But you can see right there three things that I'm really concerned about. Lots of wind, not thunderstorm wind, just wind around the low pressure area. And that could lead to blizzard conditions across parts of the Midwest and the Great Plains. And a multi-day severe weather outbreak is still looking very likely beginning later on this evening across parts of Oklahoma. So let's begin to break this down a little bit. Lots to show you here on this Monday afternoon. So first of all, as I always do, visible satellite image, and you can see there's trouble. So this swirl in the clouds right here is an upper level system that is really beginning to take shape. You can see the high jet stream clouds kind of streaming out ahead of this here. Very indicative of a deepening low pressure area, moisture streaming off of the Gulf. You can see the clouds. Look at that. With the higher dew points spreading into Texas, fueling eventually this severe weather that's going to break out here later on tonight. If I take a look at the 500 millibar analysis, there's that low. It's centered over southern Utah right now. And it was going to progress into the Midwest and cause cyclogenesis, the fancy word for a low-pressure system that develops. And bomb just means it happens pretty quickly over a short amount of time. And I'll show you where the track of that's going to be here in a minute. Let's zoom in on the visible satellite, though. Again, you can see smoke and dust being blown up here and high fire risk down here, by the way, as long as that hot, dry wind continues to blow. Again, not much moisture showing up here. Lots of clouds, but so far not a lot of precipitation, but that will change here very quickly. I'm going to switch to wind gusts here, and this is already a pretty windy situation here. Everything in this zone here is 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts in anticipation of the development of this low, which has already started at the surface out in this area here. So let's show you what the models are thinking on this low pressure track. It's going to take it from the extreme eastern portion of Colorado. Let me change my pen color here to black. It's going to take it from the extreme eastern portion of Colorado here, and it's going to take it through central Kansas and loop it up over central and northern Illinois, and eventually out over into southeastern parts of Canada over the next several days. These are just where the various models we look at are clustering the low pressure centers. So there's pretty good agreement on where this thing is headed here over the next couple of days for sure. Let's take a look at a series of maps. We'll use the NAM model, North American model, and show you the whole U.S., and that's an initialization here. This is what I expect it to look like, or at least the model does, but I believe it. On Monday, so there's that low tonight, and you can just see the beginnings of a squall line right there. We will zoom in on that here toward the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned to that. And some precipitation arcing out ahead of this system here, pretty light, much of that not reaching the ground probably at first. And then if we advance here, this is Tuesday at noon. Low pressure developing rapidly here over Kansas. Remember, the consensus was to put that up here, and where that low tracks will have some impact. But a large rain shield develops here with severe weather embedded in and along the leading edge of this line. Again, we'll take a much more detailed look at that here in a minute. This is just the overview, I guess you could say. That low pressure ramps up and deepens very quickly. It's a 982 millibar low. That's very, very deep. And these are isobars. Now, the closer these are together, the stronger the winds are blowing. And winds in the northern hemisphere cross the isobars this way and blow toward the center of low pressure. So I'll show you here what that means. This is midnight Tuesday. And take a look at the wind gusts according to the NAM that morning, Wednesday morning. So Des Moines, 52 mile per hour wind gust. 48, 43 mile per hour around Rochester and Minneapolis. 40 mile per hour wind gusts common through Missouri, through Kansas, through Oklahoma. And on the forward side of the storm, we've got wind gusts over 50 miles an hour in parts of West Virginia. And out ahead of this storm as it tracks to the east coast, 40 mile per hour wind gusts are going to be very common. and then we'll take a look at where the isobars and the precipitation type will be here. And I didn't even talk about the wraparound snow. I was so focused on the wind, but we'll get to that in a minute. But that's Wednesday at noon. And you can see a squall line developing there, lots of intense snow, and another little system which time is not really allowing me to talk about that one, but it's a good rain system for central and even southern California, and snow for much of Nevada. So that's actually good news for them, just in general here in the wintertime. There are so many advisories. I just broke them into two. So here they have a high wind warning out in most of Iowa, a good chunk of Nebraska, almost all of Kansas, down here into the panhandle of Texas, with a wind advisory surrounding that. And then red flag warnings. These are for outdoor burning, a very critical situation in this area here. Now, some of these are mixed together. So when you see that color right there, it's actually a blend of a wind advisory and a red flag warning. So I think I'm getting the point across down there. Very, very windy conditions across much of the central and south central U.S. Let's focus on that snow. So this is the NAM snow total. And you'll see this wraparound snow. We've got 6-7 inches of snow here around Des Moines, and that extends up. And I'll take another look more to the northeast here in a minute, but that's pretty critical. And we also have this narrow band of 6 to 8 inches of snow through central Nebraska as well. And if I shift the position of this here to the north and to the east, you can see better what the extent of this is. So we talk about almost a foot of snow in northern Wisconsin, UP of Michigan, over a foot of snow expected. This is the NAM. And there's always going to be variances between different model runs, but this gives you the general idea, and I really think these are pretty close. So, and I just looked before I recorded this, there's only a blizzard warning right now out for this part of Nebraska and right around the Omaha area. This is a winter storm watch, but I got to think, I'm recording this around 4:45 or so. I got to think that the Weather Service is going to upgrade this to a winter storm warning, and perhaps eventually even portions of this area would be a blizzard warning. The criteria is not just the snow, but it is the wind and the cold too, and all those will be in place. There's also some rainfall due in here. A lot to unpack, right? There's also some rainfall in here. This is not too bad. In fact, areas that have gotten a lot of rain over the last several weeks or even month are not really slated to get a whole lot in the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys. But some. The heaviest precipitation is up in Iowa. Now, you remember that was snow, so that's what's leading to these 8-inch snow totals. And with the thunderstorm line, we're looking at 1 to 2 inch totals down there in portions of Arkansas as well. Got a lot of severe weather to unpack here. So we have a severe weather outlook. This is mainly late this evening. This is Monday. Late this evening, overnight into the wee hours of Tuesday morning. So we have a level 3 out of 5 threat for severe weather here. And involved with that is also a tornado threat and a high wind threat, a little bit of hail with this. I don't think it's the primary severe weather threat, but I'll show you the evolution of that line of storms here in a minute. So that's tonight. And now these outlooks they go from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. So this is mostly, even though it was issued from earlier this morning, none of this is going to happen until the evening. But then it goes on till 7 a.m. Tuesday. And then this outlook takes over. So this will be 7 a.m. Tuesday to 7 a.m. Wednesday. So, and they just upgraded again, level 3 out of 5 for a large swath of northeast Texas, Oklahoma, extending all the way down through portions of Louisiana, a good chunk of Mississippi, down to around Mobile, parts of Alabama. I live here in Springfield, and I'm watching that carefully. Boy, I got to tell you, the instability is probably not there, but the dynamics are incredible, especially tomorrow morning, just ahead of that squall line. I'll talk about that in a second. And then, again, this ends... It says Tuesday, but it ends 7 a.m. Wednesday, and then this outlook takes over 7 a.m. Wednesday to 7 a.m. Thursday, technically, but mostly this will be during the day on Wednesday with the eastern seaboard. Same storm, just a different set of parameters moving to the east. So let's take a look at the high-resolution radar. This is at midnight tonight, centered on Oklahoma. And this is a squall line developing, and the big question tonight, the dynamics are going to be off the charts. What I mean by that is the wind fields are going to be very supportive of supercells, severe storms. The low-level wind field in particular is going to support tornadoes with this. And, whether this farm forms a solid line with embedded little waves, and those can produce tornadoes too, or these can manage some sort of, individual supercell characteristics. Either way, I think there's a tornado potential with this line of storms for sure. So, and what's kind of scary about this is you'll notice this says midnight tonight, and this is not going to die away tonight. I'm going to expand the view and show you 6 a.m. So it's 6 hours later. Squall line's still pretty active here through eastern Oklahoma. Again, there's likely going to be severe weather warnings and maybe some tornado warnings. Yeah, at 6 a.m., I think there might be on some of these. If we advance this one more frame here, oh yeah, I did want to show you this. This is the low-level 0 to 1 storm relative felicity, and that's a fancy term, I know, but it just means if you're looking for tornado potential, you want that lowest layer of the atmosphere to have a good wind profile and a rotating wind profile. And you can see as this squall line advances into Arkansas Tuesday morning, it's going to be fed by that. Now, this actually gets worse in the morning and sometimes, a lot of times, backs off during the day. So it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be that bad as the squall line advances. But there's going to be an interesting intersection between this favorable low-level wind field and that squall line as it advances. We'll take a look now, and this is what I wanted to show you. 6 a.m. Tuesday. See these little wave patterns in here? These are all potential severe weather and or tornado producers. And then this is interesting. I don't know if these individual cells here have what it takes to be individual supercells as we go into the day on Tuesday. Last time I did a video, I was saying I might storm chase. I don't know that I will. I just have to travel down to here probably to do that. I don't know. I'm going to probably reserve judgment till tomorrow morning, bright and early before I'd have to get up and get out there fast enough, because this is an early day event for me if I were to storm chase that. And then we'll take a look and just shift now. This is the same time, different map. So you can see the squall line developing here. Again, what's the fate of these? Are these individual supercells? The problem is there's not a lot of instability here. It's very weak, as a matter of fact. Now down here, it's a different story. Richer moisture, some of this. So I would say that as we go through the day tomorrow, that Louisiana is probably under the greatest risk. And we'll go to noon Tuesday. Look how fast this thing is moving. So yeah, right in here, if I were to storm chase it, not only is this a fast moving system, but it would have to be in a favorable area without a lot of hills and trees. It would have to be there for me. I'm probably not going to go to Louisiana. I'm definitely a chaser of convenience. You should know. I'm not on every storm all the time. But yeah, so that's noon on Tuesday. So that risk area right here is where I'd be watching for maximum development. So that's the end of my show here today. We're not even really going down the range, but it does look like March is a pretty favorable month for a couple of repeated severe storm risks. And on Wednesday's video, I'll dive into that a little bit more. Just going to take a breath here for a little bit. So if you're out there in these danger zones, whether it be winter or spring, take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.